we're kicking this weekend, coming off a kind of a mini break into a really big opportunity against a team that just looked great last weekend, and we got to get our game going. And I know that they feel the same. A couple 2 and 3s going at it on the East Coast on Sunday nights. It's going to call for a championship matchup and a championship performance from us. We got a lot to get done this week, and it's going to be a challenge, obviously. And so we have a lot of respect for this club and their players and the coach and all that. And it's a matchup right now. We got to have another tough one, and these guys are going to bring it to us.
What happened with Trey Flowers? Ultimately, why did that not work out?
I think it was time for a change for him as well. You know, he had a couple guys that are getting some play time ahead of him, and I love that guy. You know, I love the kid, and I've been working with him as close as anybody I've worked with since I've been here, and I feel it's better for him to get out of here and get going again. There's a lot of teams that need corners, and I hope he gets a great shot.
You were so high on him coming out of training camp and what he showed during the summer. What do you think happened over the first
I was high on him because he had really exceeded a little bit of the expectations of. He came back better and really effective and aggressive and all of that, and it just, in my opinion, and it just didn't stay, you know, as much as I had hoped, and so we gave him a great shot at it, and he did everything he could with it.
Were you surprised that he axed out? Or did he axe out?
Did he what?
Did he request to be out?
No. He never said anything like that to me, ever.
He did not request to be released?
Not to me.
What ultimately was his biggest shortcoming? He had the physical traits.
He did a lot of good stuff. He's a really good technician and all, and just got, you know, you got to finish the plays and make the plays, and then come back when you don't, and you know, and just got to find success. Got to find successful plays to build on, and there wasn't, you know, it's just his time to go on. It really is. And that's enough to say.
Is Trey Brown ready to play then? Or?
Yeah, I'm excited. I don't. This is going to be a real week for him. Last week was the partial week. I've already talked to him about this is the time he comes back to action, and let's see if he can return to the level of play. When he got hurt, he was right at the verge of competing to be, you know, in playtime, and he'd done a lot of positive things, and unfortunately his knee acted up and he couldn't respond right then. But so I'm going back to where he was, and like I said to him today, let's pick up where you left off and show us that you got your stuff together, and let's see what that leaves you in the competition of it. So he'll be battling, but he's full go and ready to go.
What have you thought of Sidney Jones' play in the last 2 games?
It was a quiet game for Sidney for the most part. This game, you know, there were some plays last week that you know, he knocked off some rust, some things that he saw last week he did better this week, and so he's a really smart kid and aware and all of that. Just needed to get out there with us, and unfortunately, you know, the first time out there was a couple plays. He played a good, solid game. Didn't get the ball really went on the other side of the field a little bit more than his way.
You started rookie quarterbacks before. What's your apprehension about this with Trey Brown?
I don't have any apprehension. If you remember, we started Richard when we had to, you know, back in the day, and that was probably the first guy that was a rook. I don't have any apprehension. You just got to get him back on the field. And you know, last week we were in walkthrough all week long. This is his first week back. We drafted him to let him compete for the job and see what would happen, and we're sticking to that. That's what's happening right now.
Is he still on the left side?
You'll have to find out, I guess. I'm not giving you that one.
Hey, when you look at the Steelers, what has Najee Harris brought to their offense?
Boy, he's been consistent, man. He's a really competitive football player. They've just gone to him so much. He ran the ball a bunch already, caught a bunch of passes, leading receiver on the team. That's their running game. You know, they're really committed to him, which, you know, is a great pick for them to do that. And he's real creative and really aggressive, and he's bigger than most guys. You know, he's over 230, and he runs through people and makes you miss and makes you bounce off, and real effective football player. He's really a good player.
They've completely overhauled their offensive line from last year to this year. What have you seen from that group as the season's progressed?
Well, they've been a little bit banged up at tackle, and the young guys inside are doing a nice job, you know, and they're so. I know Banner's trying to get back. I don't know when that happens, and we'll see, you know, how it goes. But the young guys are really coming through. I think that's this thing that I noticed the most.
Have you learned anything about Geno kind of going through this just the last few days for the first time with him?
Well, I was really pleased that he was able to go out on the field the other night and play so well and be on it, because he hadn't had many opportunities. And not that was a surprise. I was just pleased for him and happy for us, knowing that we need him, And so Geno's got a real good position on this team. He has been highly thought of by the organization, by his teammates, and obviously the fans responded too. And we're grateful that he's been with us. And so now that it's his time and his chance to do this and help his club, couldn't be more excited for him. And he's going to be really tuned in. He's really smart at their scheme and system and all of that. Really sharp in the huddle, at the line of scrimmage, all that kind of stuff. He's really good at. So he gives himself every chance to be, have a good performance and help us win.
What kind of challenges he and the rest of the offense facing in the pressures that Pittsburgh likes to bring?
Yeah, well, they have historically been a difficult defense, and they play with a really aggressive style. They don't pressure as much as you might think, but they play very aggressive, and they use their players and move them around to try to get cause problems. And they've historically been a good group, and so they're a challenge. They're a challenge just because their makeup of the play. TJ on one side, he's pretty good over there, and they got some guys that make problems for you that we got to deal with.
You haven't put Russell on IR. Is that just something you could do later, or is there?
What was the first part of the question?
Russell Wilson. You haven't put him on IR yet.
Yeah, we don't have to do that yet, and so we're figuring out. We're gonna use all the days that we need to make a really good choice there.
You said Chris Carson made a turn. Is he going to practice today?
I think we're going to hold him out. He went through the walkthrough today. I think we're going to hold him out today and bring him back tomorrow and see how he does.
Jake Luton, how much confidence do you have in him, I guess?
Well, Jake, he's been in the system, man. This is his deal. He's been working to get ready for this opportunity. He has not had a lot of work. He's had to do it on the kind of on the back burner, but I've gone back and looked at his games and all the snaps that he's had and all the throws that he's made, just to double check. We had done that before, to see where he is, and he's capable of making a lot of plays, and so we got to keep it really clean for him and make sure that we don't burden him. If he gets a chance to play, and give him an opportunity to do what he does well. He's got a real good arm, real strong hose, and good release, and he's got good accuracy to him and all that, and so. It'll be a little bit of an experience as we started up because he hasn't had a lot of turns, but he's obviously getting more in practice right now.
Is Nigel Warrior close to coming back?
I would tell you that he's still a couple weeks away. But he's doing really well, and he's made a lot of progress. And I just checked in on it today, and he's in pretty good shape right now, but it's still a couple weeks.
Pete, you were talking the other day about Darrell Taylor. How eager were you guys? Obviously, there's a whole year off just to see what he could bring to this defense, not getting to look at him at all last year.
Well, we didn't have much information at all, so that's why it was so important. I made it such a big deal about what he's done in the offseason. He's really ready to be given more opportunities now, and he's got off to a really good start. He's growing with us and all that. He's done a really good job on special teams, which is way more of a statement than you guys might realize. For a young guy who's a pass rusher on the edge, to be the first guy down on kickoff teams and be contributing to a great kickoff team and make plays and then on the punt team and all that stuff that he does, he's all in. And so it's just giving him more. And so his play time and his opportunities will increase. He's earned that.
Is the plan still to go back and forth between series with Marquise and Ugo? Would you like to have one guy?
We're still using him, splitting time with him. They both deserve to play.
What have you seen out of Bless Austin since you've had?
He's done a nice job with the system and the scheme and all of that. Kind of like once you cross the threshold and you get him out there, then everything kind of clears somewhat. He just hadn't had his opportunity. You saw we were careful with Sidney as he was coming in, and so he's ready to jump in though. I mean, he's very competitive at practice. He's got a real toughness about him. It won't be too big for him when we get him out there. And so it's just a matter of, if the opportunities are right.
You've seen Ben Roethlisberger a number of times over the years. How does he look different, or does he, than a couple of years ago?
The emphasis of the ball coming out so fast is really evident. The ball really comes out. I mean, nobody gets rid of the football faster. We said that about that. I think the Niners a couple weeks ago. These guys are faster at this point, and that means that you can't fool him. You know, when stuff is happening or you're pressuring or you're coming at him, he knows it. He knows everything that's going on, and he just does not let you get to him. So, and their offense is really designed to utilize his decision making to spread the ball around the field, mix their runs and passes and all that stuff that goes along with that. Includes a lot of quick perimeter stuff, and so he's really good at doing that. And he can strike you dead. He's still throwing deep balls right on the money, and so he's got a nice crew with him. And with Najee in there to hammer the football, it makes for a nice mix on their offense now.
How surprised were you with the John Gruden incident and outcome?
I'm surprised. That would mean I had a different thought about it. I would say that let me say this: the times that we're in, and the awareness that we now are growing to understand is crucially important as leaders and people that have a chance to speak out. We have to demonstrate the sensitivity that all people deserve to be treated well and spoken of well, and because they deserve it. Not because there's no rule guideline here. You just treat people like they should be treated. And so when anything comes out with that demonstrates that sensitivity is not there, you're getting called on, and rightfully so. And so I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying I got it nailed or anything else. I'm just saying we all need to, and as leaders that have a chance to speak out, we got to do a great job of relating that message and being the message and being true and fair to all people. And I think that illustration showed otherwise, and it's too bad.
Concerned with how the events transpired in terms of the NFL investigation, not related to him?
Was I surprised or concerned? What was your first word? Concerned. No. I'm not concerned about that. I mean, it just happened because it was on record. I don't know the ins and outs of it at all, but it's out there. So it was available to somebody, and they got it, and the rest is followed suit.
Does it concern you at all about the security of an NFL investigation to have something like this?
No, I think this is the world now, Art. I mean, this is, everybody's vulnerable. This is how it is. And if, the technology, they could find whatever they want to find about people. And I don't know about the NFL. I think this is just a social, a social evolution, where we are. And it's the truth. And I don't think anything trying to get around it or get away from it. I think it's real, and in a sense, it's really good. It just makes us all have to understand that we've got to look at things and look at people in a way that where they need to be treated well. Doesn't matter where you come from or who you are or what you do or what your persuasion or whatever. None of that matters. People deserve, and once you start making choices, then who you're going to treat well and all that, you're in trouble. That's not the way it should go. So we're learning, and we're all growing, and I hope that we can all be better as these sensitivities continue to become so important to us. And so.
You said Geno has a way of making the guys around him feel comfortable. What do you?
I can't believe you went right there.
What do you see from the guys that makes you say that? Like, how does that matter?
Well, Geno's really good quarterback. He really throws the football. He's really athletic. He's tough. He's got a great calmness about him. It's just he's the guy that guys respect. They really respect him because of who he is as an athlete and a player and a teammate. And so when he gets the chance and he does something well, everybody's cheering for him. And it's like anybody on the team. But Geno has it. He's got a way about him. He's an NFL quarterback. First round pick and all that. He's had a lot of stuff he's been through, and he has grown and learned. And we're lucky to have him. And the players feel that way too, I think. And so they're supporting him. They're all cheering for him. We need him, to come through when Russ is out. And we really don't have any thought that he's not gonna. Everybody believes that he's gonna come through and do a great job, just like he showed the other night. So we need to support him and give him all the help that he needs by playing good ball around him and coaching real well around him and all that. And we'll be really excited to see what the outcome is.
On the corners with with Brown and with Austin, because you don't like to alternate cornerbacks, how much of a leap of faith is it to just eventually, like you did with Jones, just have to throw them in and see how they do?
It's a little bit of a leap of faith. Also, it's about the body of work too. You know, if you've seen the guy and you know him really well, and you got how you feel about it. You know, like I've really liked what Trey Brown did. And, I mean, if you guys remember, I was telling you he'd done a lot of really good things. Hadn't had very many negative plays. Hadn't gotten beat, you know, in any kind of way that made him, you know, in consistent ways. So I've been cheering for him to come on, you know, and that's because of the work he did, you know, and he's a tough guy. He plays hard. He's smart. Got a good feel, and so I think it's an indication of a really good pick, you know, because he gets in camp and he gets to work, and then he's moving up the chart, and then he got banged up, you know, and so it was really the week that he would have alternated, so I have all that information on him. That camp was important in that regard.
On defense, are you seeing Carlos get more attention from like offense in terms of linebacker or tight end chips and running backs and stuff like that?
We have received a lot of the accents that you can do in pass protection. Yeah, and he draws the attention. There's no doubt, and it's just been more so I think than ever. It feels like we're getting a lot more chip protections with the tight end in the back and in different combinations. Wide receivers even involved at times, and it's a little bit of a movement in pass protection in general, you know, and more so. It's not new. It's just we're seeing quite a bit of it. And so teams can actually, you know, 7-man protect, you know, and give their guys a chance to get down the field. And you know, you've got to defend the field even more so because of that.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thanks.